Watch out, this thing moves. All right, we are about to begin, so everyone can please take their seats. Is this thing working? Is this thing working? You want to say a few jokes from your days? Later. We'll save that for the end.
Hey, call me for a Nazi!
I wouldn't think this would have started any other way, Mr. Diamantopoulos. Thank you. My name is Mike Mascherino. I'm the athletic director here at Algonquin Regional High School. Welcome, everybody. Before I get started, I would like to welcome Mr. Rob Berger, Hall of Fame Committee Chair, to say a few words. Mr. Berger.
Thank you, Mike. If I lean on this, I might end up at table 2, but that's okay. I don't eat too much. First thought, wow. Look at the crowd. Give everybody a round of applause. Thank you so much for being here. Just fabulous. Just fabulous. We couldn't imagine that we'd have this many people, so thank you all. I'd just like to take a quick second, a minute, everybody to rise in a moment of silence. Chet Leonard, who was a recent inductee from the class of 1964, he passed away recently, so I'd just like to do a quick moment of silence. And one other note on Chet, Hall of Fame inductee of 2017, also wrote the Algonquin School alma mater, so he was special. So just a quick moment of silence. Thank you. Please be seated. So I'll be brief so we can all get together and have a wonderful meal catered by Kennedy's Market over in Marlboro. Dave, we love you. Thank you so much. And just a quick note, Kennedy's Market for many, many, many years has been a sponsor of many athletic programs here in Northborough, Southborough. So again, Dave, thank you for all your commitment to the athletes of Northborough and Southborough. So, to say, it is an honor for me to welcome everyone here today for the 2023 Hall of Fame induction ceremony at Algonquin Regional High School. Today, we are honoring outstanding student athletes, their unique spirit, and recognize their outstanding athletic achievements while competing at Algonquin. We are also honoring a Spirit Award recipient who has logged hundreds and hundreds of hours supporting our student athletes and the athletic programs at ARHS. The superb athletes we recognize today absolutely worked hard and went well beyond all in during their practices, games, and athletic competitions. Their remarkable spirit and shining character have absolutely been strong building blocks in continuing the high spirit and exceptional athletic program that exists today at Algonquin. I want to take a moment to thank all our sponsors. You see them listed in the program. Our Hall of Fame induction committee sitting over here. Also want to thank Mike Mascherino, athletic director, for hours in putting this program together. Susan Burns, the glue that holds this all together. Susan, we are blessed. Thank you. Special commitment, effort, and guidance from this crew. Thank you to the superintendent, Greg Martineau, and our principal, Sean Bevins, who is here today. We welcome you. A special thank you, and this is indeed an extreme special thank you, to the Christabello 32 Foundation for their very generous donation, which is a huge part of making today possible. So please take a second. Thank you. Their generosity is humbling and so greatly appreciated. Our efforts to recognize prestigious student athletes throughout the history of Algonquin is an ongoing process. Please continue, and I say again, please continue your support for the Athletic Hall of Fame. Nominate, donate, and recognize our outstanding student athletes over the years. Thank you so much and enjoy.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you for everything that you do in the entire Hall of Fame committee. So just a brief introduction. Welcome, everybody. We are finally here after 3 long years, some delays along the way, but we made it through, and we are back. So again, welcome, everybody, to the 12th Annual Algonquin Regional High School Athletics Hall of Fame ceremony. I'm excited, honored, and privileged to have been given the opportunity to serve as your MC for today. We are inducting a truly outstanding class that exemplifies what Algonquin pride is all about. As I stated in my letter in the program, congratulations. We gather today to honor you and celebrate your dedication to the ideals of Algonquin Regional High School and your willingness to devote time and effort to the sports programs. You are joining a very prestigious group of outstanding individuals as you enter Algonquin Regional High School Hall of Fame. Here is where our superintendent of schools, unfortunately, I don't know if he'll be here for today. He may make it at the end. However, I'm going to have our principal, Sean Bevan, come up and say a few words, and then we are going to break for lunch, and then we will start the ceremony. So, Mr. Principal, Sean Bevan.
Nothing speeds up a speech faster than putting you right before when you're about to feed people. They make it, that moves things right along. Usually when I'm in this room, I'm standing here watching 400 teenagers eat, and I can tell you are much more well-dressed, well-behaved, and I can imagine you're going to leave behind a much smaller mess than the teenagers do every day. But I love it. I love spending my time here today with you, but I also love spending my time here with our kids every day. And I thank you all for coming here today and for spending time honoring our wonderful Hall of Fame inductees. I don't need to tell you all about myself, but I was a teacher here for 8 years in the early 2000s, and while I was here, I was a baseball coach with Mr. Mascherino and had the great pleasure and privilege of coaching Kevin Brown and many other fine young men, and we won a state title in 2006, and it's one of the finest moments of my life and career, and it gives me great pleasure to enjoy seeing Kevin honored here today, and someday maybe our team will be inducted in the Hall of Fame, and that will be a fine moment for myself, for Mr. Mascherino, and for those young men. So thank you everyone for joining us here today and for spending your time honoring our wonderful inductees and for honoring our wonderful community here that is a community that values excellence both in the classroom but on the fields of play. So thank you everyone. Enjoy your lunch and have a nice afternoon.
Thank you, Mr. Bevan. So now we're going to be able to start serving some lunch here. So I think we are ready to go, buffet style. I'll come around to the tables and we'll eat lunch, and after we'll begin the ceremony. So enjoy the lunch, everybody. Thank you. Okay, we're about to begin the ceremony. Hope everybody enjoyed their meal and dessert. Remember, there's can always go over and grab some coffee or cake throughout the ceremony anytime. There's extra waters, food. Please feel free. So we're about to get started, but before I introduce our 6 inductees in the 1979 basketball team, I'd like to recognize and say thank you to some very important people. Mr. Sean Bevan, our principal, whose boundless energy and enthusiasm has rejuvenated everyone he works with. Well, here's Sean, thank you. Rob Berger, our Hall of Fame committee chair, and the entire Hall of Fame committee for their efforts and support in putting this together. Thank you. Kennedy's Market for this catering and providing us with this wonderful meal. Thank you very much for the dessert. Emily Philbin, who is not here in attendance today, she is our English teacher and our 4-time state championship girls rugby coach, for editing all the profiles and making them work for both the program and your plaques that you're receiving today. Thank you, Emily. Susan Burns for her many years of dedication and commitment to ARHS athletics and putting all this pieces together in order for this event to occur. Thank you, Susan. And finally, thank you to all the many businesses and the amazing people whose generosity through donations is the main reason why we're able to hold this wonderful event today. Thank you very much. First award is our Spirit Award. And our Spirit Award recipient, and this award goes to an individual with a long history of dedication to Algonquin Regional High School. John Healy is this year's recipient of the Spirit Award, which goes to an outstanding local supporter of Algonquin who has dedicated many years to the school community. John has been part of Algonquin since 2011. He was the girls lacrosse coach. He also earning Coach of the Year honors in 2012. After coaching, John stayed involved, and you can hear him on Friday night football games. Also hearing his voice most recently last night at lacrosse games. Always helping operate the scoreboard, announcing during our games and whenever in time and need. Please welcome John Healy to say a few words. Take a picture of the plaque after.
Thank you very much. Before I begin, I'd like to thank Rob Berger and the rest of the Algonquin Booster Club, Director of Athletics Mike Masserino, and all of the Algonquin community, and my daughters Peggy and Jackie, who without them having been involved with the Algonquin sports, I don't think I would have been as involved as I have been. It's truly an honor and a humbling experience to be mentioned or part of the same program as so many accomplished athletes and teams. Overall, I think what brings us all together is the Algonquin spirit. And it's what makes what I do so enjoyable to be announcing at games. Back in 2011, I was fortunate enough to be given the job of the Algonquin girls varsity lacrosse coach. For 5 years, I was a coach and we had some great success, but what I remember most about that time is the way all the girls came to the field every day with an intensity, a joy, and a unique energy. Rain or shine, in the cold, several times snow, and in the heat too, that energy was always there. While I was coaching then, Athletic Director Fran Witten was looking for some coaches to help with the chain gang on the sideline at football games. I thought, what better way to get involved with that energy that I so love is to be down on the sidelines in the football games. I quickly raised my hand and regretted it immediately. One of the first games was against Leominster, who at the time had a very speedy running back who I think made it his mission to torture the chain gang that night. I think on 3 or 4 successive possessions, Leominster got the ball at the 20-yard line, and the first play brought them down to Algonquin's 2-yard line where he just stepped out of bounds. Chain gang had to keep up with that. Realizing that I was no longer fit for speed, I looked for a way out. And I was looking to the heavens and I saw that ramshackle little hut sitting at the top of the stands, and I said, that's where it is. Sitting behind the microphone at the games, I still see the same spirit in all the kids. I lost my place, hang on a sec. I see it in the coaches who climb to the top of the press box through the little trap door and stand on top, and I never know if they're gonna fall through the ceiling on top of me, but I see their commitment and their spirit. I see it in the kids who perform in the color guard at halftime. I see it in the parents who come to the press box window, some gently, some not so gently, letting me know that I've mispronounced their child's name. I see it most specifically in one man at a very cold Thanksgiving game. I think it was about 18 degrees out. I announced the temperature, and I announced the temperature in the booth as being 70 degrees. He gave me the number 1 sign, but I'm not quite sure it was the finger he was supposed to use. And I see it here in this room with all the individuals and the teams that we're here to honor today. Whether you're a Tomahawk, which we all are, or a Titan, it doesn't matter. It's the spirit that makes us who we are. Thank you.
One second. Okay, you go.
You gotta figure out the order.
Yeah.
Please go.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, John. We have one inductee who could not join us here today, Allison Hay. Our goal of the Hall of Fame committee is to have the absolute best of the best from each sport inducted. Allison fits this description. She's at the top of the list when it comes to positive impact she has had on our very successful athletic programs. Allison was a three-sport athlete, which we know 3 sports nowadays have becoming rare, which included soccer, basketball, and lacrosse. She is a true competitor and had a tireless effort to excel in athletics. Allison earned numerous league and district accolades, including all-star recognition and school records that still hold true today. Allison is a stellar example of what a student athlete should be both on and off the field. She enjoyed the highest level of success in each of the 3 sports, and the memories that were created will never be forgotten. Allison went on to play lacrosse at Division I, University of Vermont, and here on her behalf is her mother, her mother, Gina Hay. Congratulations.
Thank you. Allison wishes she could be here and unfortunately unable, so I am on my tippy toes, and I like being on my tippy toes. And I'm just going to read essentially what she wrote, and here it is. I am delighted to be inducted as a new member of the Algonquin High School Athletic Hall of Fame class of 2023. I am honored and humbled to be among such a fantastic group. Playing sports at Algonquin Regional High School was a transformative experience that taught me invaluable life skills that have stayed with me to this day. The dedication required to excel in sports taught me the importance of hard work and perseverance. Additionally, working as part of a team showed me the value of collaboration and communication, skills that have been instrumental in my career and personal relationships. Finally, facing adversity and learning to bounce back from setbacks helped me develop resiliency and a growth mindset, which has been crucial in building my self-worth and sense of personal accomplishment. Overall, my experiences playing sports at Algonquin High School were formative in shaping who I am today and have played a significant role in my success, both professionally and personally. Lastly, I would like to thank the nominating committee for voting to induct me. I would like to thank my parents for their support and encouragement. They were always my biggest fans. I especially want to thank my coaches and all the support staff and volunteers who make sports at Algonquin possible. Thank you.
Come on in.
Slide up a little. Here, slide up this way. Yeah. We're going to move this way.
One more.
This is social media, that thing.
Thank you.
There you go. Absolutely. Thanks. Thank you. Our next inductee, I turn to Tom Bertnazzi. Tom is a former basketball coach for 30 years. For 18 of those years, he was our JV basketball coach and went undefeated 21-0 with a record in 2019. I was lucky enough to be coached by Tom, as he was my JV coach and varsity basketball coach. We were very successful during my 4 years here, but I don't know if we would be able to be so successful if he wasn't the coach. I consider Tom not only a former coach, but a close friend. His passion and dedication to ARHS athletics are unparalleled. More importantly, he has impacted the lives of countless young men at Algonquin, and he always kept the student athletes as the top priority. I'm honored to be able to welcome Coach Burt to the illustrious Hall of Fame. Coach. Are you just ad-libbing?
Yes, I am, like I always do. Well, first, I'm going to echo what everybody else is saying. It's an honor to be going into the Hall of Fame with a lot of great inductees here. And I'm thrilled for it. I never anticipated when I started 30 years ago with this But I'm glad I stuck it out all those years and stuff. But I have a lot of people to thank, and I want to get right into it. First of all, I want to thank Brian Doherty, who we worked together for a long time, 12, 14 years, and I expect to see up here in a few years. And then, of course, a guy who really helped my career in coaching, Mr. Chris Foy, taught me a lot when I already had 15, 16 years of experience, but he come in and he opened up my eyes to a lot of different ways of doing things. And I'm forever grateful. And also at that table is another inductee, Kevin Brown, who Chris once referred to as a Jedi warrior and stuff, and he was. I mean, he played like everything was on the line every time he stepped on the court or on the baseball field or whatever he attempted to do, and I'm honored to go in with him in this year's induction. And another guy I kind of have to thank, and it kills me to do it, is my assistant for a long time, my sidekick, Matt Rockman. Matt. Best part about Matt is that he made me look good because I was a nice guy compared to him and stuff. But he did a lot to help us through it, and he helped a lot of kids. He would always take 1 or 2 kids each year and kind of give them special attention when they needed it and stuff. And, you know, that kind of stuff goes a long way with kids and stuff. I retired last year after 30 years. Everybody says, well, what do you miss? Did you miss it? You miss it? Yeah, I missed it. But it wasn't the games. It was working with the kids. These kids at Algonquin are special. And we used to go to league meetings. We'd be talking about kids who were seniors who graduated. And I could sit there, oh, yeah, he went to Arizona State, or he went to Alabama, or he went to Ivy League school. And these other guys are going, Christ, mine just dropped out of Keene State or dropped out of here, you know? There's a difference in schools they apply for. Grade point average was always very important here. And we were turning out kids, and you still see it now when you're out there. These young men go on to careers that are vastly higher than a lot of the schools we play against. They did combine, they were the true student athletes and stuff, not just athletes, student athletes. And that's special nowadays and stuff, and it's something to be really, really proud about. I saw that, was it 79, I think you guys were? That team, I saw them play before I got into coaching. And the thing I admired most about that team was every player that came into the game played harder than the guy he replaced. And that is very, very hard to do, is to get kids work that hard when they're not starting. They all feel, well, I'm not really that good. No. No. It's the bench that's really strong in high school and stuff, and it makes a difference in the teams. Algonquin always has good athletes out there. They just need a little coaching. You know, you kind of take a little ball of clay and you try to make it into something special, and that's what it's like coaching. That's what I miss. I miss having the kids, teasing them, you know, finding out how their day is, talking to them, you know, if they have a problem or something like that. You want to be a positive effect on them. And doing that is the greatest reward you can get for coaching high school kids. Because as you know, a high school boy, between the ages of 14 and 8, there's a lot going on up there and stuff like that. And it's a challenge and stuff. But the thing that's best about it is when you're out there and you run into them maybe 10, 12 years later, and they're married, they have their own kids, and you, Coach, you remember the time we did this? You remember the time we did that? That's rewarding because they remember you, you know, and they think positively of you. And it's not, you know, I always used to say, I don't want to be known as the best coach. I want to be known as the fairest coach to the kids. Give everybody a chance to play. Give everybody a chance to do what they can do best and stuff. And that's all about coaching and then, you know, and getting them to buy in and stuff. As we've always talked over the years, it's not an easy chore to do. But, you know, when the kids are out there and you see a kid all of a sudden, he maybe starts the year off as your 12th or 13th guy, by the end of the year, he's in your rotation or he's starting. That is a great reward because he's paying attention, he's working hard, and he's getting better. That's what you look for. I mean, some guys got natural talent and they don't use it. That's frustrating. But when you got a kid who's got fair amount of talent and he uses it to his best, that is a great feeling to be part of. And I would hope that we keep all the years we got coming in the next couple of years, or 20, 30 years, when I'm long gone and stuff, and we keep these kids coming through here. The grade point averages are high, and the kids are going to great schools, and they're having fun playing the sports. That's what's great for these kids, and I hope it always keeps continuing to be like that. And I want to thank everybody who's here today, and I hope everybody has a great day. One last thing. One last thing. I'm a tomahawk. I'm not a titan.
I'll edit out the background.
It was only a matter of time. Thank you, Tom. Our next inductee is Kevin Brown. Kevin played varsity basketball for 3 years and varsity baseball for 4 years. Kevin's humble demeanor and sharing athleticism make him stand out in comparison to others. As his former coach, myself, Kevin, no matter what we asked of him, no matter what the challenge was, he was ready, and he was committed, and he was always hungry. But what made him a true competitor was his dedication to the team. What I enjoyed most about Kevin was watching him compete he enjoyed the true essence of the sport. He was a hard worker and a fierce competitor. Kevin continued his baseball career at Bryant University and was recently inducted into their Hall of Fame. He was a 22nd round draft pick of Chicago Cubs and spent 3 years in the minor leagues. I am proud to welcome Kevin Brown to the Algonquin Regional High School Hall of Fame.
Wow. Unbelievable turnout here, guys. This is just quite an honor. I got to say, it's amazing coming back. Something that Tommy Bertonazzi just said is, you know, having a positive impact on his players, and that's really kind of what fueled him. And I got to tell you, Bert, like, I am the product of that. I mean, you are the epitome of this community and this high school and the athletics, the competition, the passion that this community has. And I mean, you can see it right here. Like, look at this turnout. It's unbelievable to be back and to see this and just the dedication. But, you know, when I think about, like, where I am now, and I got one of my 2 kids here. My grandpa's holding them out back there. That's Brooksy. But my other twin girl's back home, Mia, with Mama. She couldn't make it. But you know, I think about them, and you know what my parents instilled in me at a young age is, you know, if you're going to do something, do it right. You know, if you're gonna commit to something, commit to it, and have passion and have conviction in what you're doing. And I think you see that in Algonquin, in the students, in the athletics. You know, and I think what's unique about Algonquin is that it gives you an opportunity to be yourself, to go after these accomplishments and drive forward. And I think about my parents, my sisters, and people that have pushed me and have created this positive impact on me along the way. I'll just share a brief story, but just to kind of show you like the overarching impact and give you a little perspective on like some of the people in the room here. But when I was a freshman at Algonquin, I was always confident. I was always confident in my abilities. I wasn't super vocal, right? I was always very serious. You know, I don't think I was super outgoing at that point in my life. My sister, Carrie, was 2 years ahead of me, and she, you know, at the time was telling me, you got to take this drama improv class at Algonquin. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I play sports. Like, I can't be doing this. Like, what are you talking about? She's like, no, you got to take this. You got to do this, and you'll thank me later in life. I said, okay. So I did it. I took Maura Morrison's improv drama class, and you know, I thank her till this day. If she's here, I would love to thank her, because taking that class set me up for so much success in my life. And I'll share an example. Is flash forward to that spring, I'm trying out for the baseball team, and I was always a shortstop, you know, trying to get in, scrappy player. And I remember I had a decent tryout, but we had a phenomenal team that year. We won the state championship. We had older guys that were really, really good. We had Coach Bevan back then, Coach Masserino, Coach Burke. I remember them bringing me into the coach's office, and this was around the time they were making cuts and sending guys down to JVs or freshmen. And I remember Berkey is, Coach Burke, you know, starts off and he starts talking. He says, you know, Kevin, you did great, and we're excited for your future here. But you know, we got a shortstop. We're chock full in the infield. Without even hesitation, and I thank Maura Morrison for this and my improv abilities, I said, I can play outfield. And I share that because like that, I never would have had the courage or the confidence to say that, and how important that moment was in my life, because I got an opportunity to play on a state championship team and make a game-saving catch in the state championship game that just completely catapulted my career and my passion for this game. But I share all that because, you know, Algonquin has a community, has an ecosystem that can uplift you, that can support you, that can take a chance on you, that can give you an opportunity. Coach Burke could have said, yeah, we're all set with outfielders, but he said, you know what, this kid wants it. And I think they recognize that passion and that desire. You see a guy like Tom Bertonazzi, right? You see Coach Bevan still here. He's the president. He's the principal of the school. Masserino's the athletic director. We got Coach Foy here. We got Coach Doherty. I mean, these guys are unbelievable impacts on my life, and I just am so grateful to be in this room with all of you here, but to be able to just say thank you for the positive impact that you've had on me, and that I hope to have on my family and my kids, and you know, everyone that I, you know, someday coach or interact with throughout time. So thank you so much. This is such an honor, and I really appreciate it.
Well done.
Thank you, Kevin. Our next inductee is James McHugh. James is also a three-sport athlete competing in cross country, basketball, and excelled at track and field, graduating from Algonquin in 1969. He continued his academic and athletic career at Bowdoin College. In his personal statement, he states, he created a lot of great memories at Algonquin that will last a lifetime. Algonquin challenged him both academically and athletically, and Algonquin provided him with the opportunity to be a leader and understand the importance of teamwork. My pleasure to introduce our new inductee, Mr. James McHugh.
Well, thank you. Since I'm one of the oldest people in this room, and I'm also mostly Irish, I may get a little emotional, as my family well knows. So I'm going to start out with a few introductions. So, and then I'm going to get into a little about the gratitude part. And the next topic is something that Alice's mother mentioned, support and encouragement. And maybe I'll tell a few stories, because that's what we've been doing here. So the introduction. So first introduction, my wife of 48 years. High school sweetheart here at Algonquin. Captain of the cheerleaders. My daughter next to her, Haley, she's is going to be living in Lincoln, Mass. Her husband and the grandkids couldn't be here. My other daughter and her husband, who live in Westboro, they're also away and couldn't be here. Other people at the table, Mike and Joan Foley, who were teachers at Algonquin. Mike was my varsity basketball coach. Tommy Arsenault and Susan Hill. Tommy was the captain of our varsity basketball team, and beside my female best friend was my wife. He was my male best friend in high school, and he came from Virginia, so to be here. Other folks, Paul and Cindy Moran. Paul was the quarterback of our football team my senior year, and glad you're all here. So back to the gratitude part. Thank you all. Thank you to Algonquin, to the committee, to the athletic department. It's really a great honor, to be part of the school and the organization in this event, and being inducted into the hall. I'm really grateful. The support and encouragement, I've had ongoing, unwavering support from so many people. Back to the cheerleader part of it. My parents, my mother and father, when I look in the stands, there they were. My mother was a little less on the track side because she didn't like the outdoors as much as my dad. So anyhow, and then the cheerleading, my kids over the years, as I continue to run, they know that I'm a little competitive, and so I appreciate their support. And Tommy, the coaches. Coach Sullivan in the track team, he always was just so supportive of his tracksters. He talked us up. He helped me with my weakness, which was getting off the blocks from a sprinting standpoint. Many hours we tried to sprint and just get going. So it was unwavering support. Coach Foley. He taught us discipline in many areas in terms of ball handling and shooting and court presence. And there was one instance, I had bad ankles. And I hurt myself senior year before the end of the season, and I came back to the last game. And I remember him saying to me at halftime, how are you doing? How's your ankle? Don't screw up your track season. There was more of an attention to the student athlete than just to the team. And it was an important game for us, but I always appreciated that. A couple of stories. So freshman year, and I'll try to move it along. Freshman year, I was pretty lost from an athletic standpoint. I didn't do anything in the fall, played freshman basketball, and in the spring, I didn't make the golf team. Mr. Jack Wallace was the coach of the golf team, so he let me be the manager. I think he felt sorry for me. And so my two big responsibilities were basically, I think, collecting the scorecards and passing out the balls before the matches. But, so that was it. It was kind of a non-event year from sports. But in the fall, at the end of the year, there was the school at the time had a field day. And you all go out into the field and just do some, do events. And I happened to win the 100, the 200, 220, and the long jump. Totally unexpected. And I remember John Clark, who was the AD at the time, kept calling my name down. So after the event was over, I got, kind of like, why aren't you on the track team? And I'm thinking, what is the track team? What is that? And I had no clue about what track was all about. So that was really the conversion to the track team. You have the story, Where's Waldo? So at most track meets, there was Where's Jimmy? And you know where I was? So I used to get very nervous, really nervous. And so I would be under the bleachers getting sick. And it was a way to relieve tension. So at the Thanksgiving Day event, when we got introduced, I came off the field, and a guy that I knew from that graduated a year before us, he came up to me and he said, I thought you'd be under the bleachers. And I thought, oh my goodness, I've got a reputation. So anyhow, one more story. So since Tommy and I we had become pretty fast in track, our senior year, the football coaches said, you got to go out for football. You're going to be ends. So I thought, okay, this can't be that hard. You just go kind of run. You go run out and you just catch a ball and whatever. So I lasted less than a month. I got all 150 pounds of me at that time was continually getting pounded, and broke ribs. And the final straw was when I wasn't an end. I was a halfback. And I thought, the only reason I'm breaking through the line and making some gains here because I was so afraid of, getting chased. And I think Tommy lasted a couple more weeks than I did. But, what I think our main motivation was to get out of running cross country for Mike Foley. So that's all. I just want to reiterate that, our life, we've been very blessed. We had a lot of fun. There's a quote by Vin Scully, who's the former late broadcaster for the Dodgers. He said, don't be sad that it's over. Smile because it happened. So I'm smiling today. Thank you so much.
I almost want to be in there. Yeah, put it next. One more. Thanks for all your hard work. Thank you.
Well done. Our next inductee is Mr. Chris DeBello. Chris competed in track and field, but stood out amongst most on the football field. Chris graduated in 1986. Chris played both sides of the ball, both defense and offense. Chris was named captain of the 1985 football team, and his team was Midland Wachusett League champions and was Division I finalists. Chris's determination and refusal to settle for anything less than greatness is what stood out amongst his teammates. He looked upon his time at Algonquin on and off the field with pure joy, and he respected and valued the guidance of his coaches and the alliance and bonds of his teammates. Speaking on Chris's behalf is Earl Larson, a lifelong friend, and Patty DeBello, Chris's wife, to receive the plaque in Chris's honor.
Thank you, Rob Berger, Jeff Scott, and the rest of the Hall of Fame committee. And also thank you to Mike Mascherino, the athletic director, and the rest of the administration for your support of this awesome event. And before we talk about Chris, congratulations to all of the inductees in your fine athletic careers at Algonquin. A special shout out to Lily and Marcus, Chris and Patty's children, along with Chris's mom Trudy and brother Martin, and sisters Jackie and Marcy, as well as the whole Tobin clan. And a special nod to Steve and Mike Tobin, who were hard-nosed football examples and mentors for Chris and the rest of us underclassmen at the time. I'm grateful to be a part of this induction for Chris, for sure. And it's great to see the large group of friends and teammates all here to celebrate Chris. As we know, he was humble and not someone who would talk about himself much, so we get to do that today. That said, Chris was proud of having played football at Algonquin. Not proud in the look at me kind of way, but in the look at us now kind of way, especially after the transformation of the program in the mid-'80s, and more on that in a bit. Chris's freshman year in August of 1982, he was about 135 pounds soaking wet, half of it hair, I think. But through triple sessions, yes, triple sessions, he earned his way onto the starting varsity defense for an 0-10 team, one that was struggling and not well respected. 2 straight winless years, in fact. We lost 62-0 as an example to Hudson. Don't get me wrong, there were some good players and coaches and talent. We just were not winning. There was a sign on the far side, in fact, of the football field. Many of you may remember this, where someone had painted intestinal fortitude with question marks, basically questioning the team's resolve and determination. And after we looked up what it meant, it really didn't sit well with any of us, including the seniors from that team and through each of the grades. Even with that, Chris was part of the class of 1986 dubbed the Futuristics by longtime coach and mentor and Algonquin Hall of Famer Frank Kronoff, who was hired by the school to take over football. He had strong support from athletic director Vin DeMore and football coaching experience within the faculty, and I'm sure advice from people like Jack Wallace, where are you, Jack? Hi. And Dick Walsh. He also had Neil Burke take over the offense, I heard him mention earlier, and alum Bob Raymond came on to handle the defense. And you know, at that time, records were spotty, so Chris is now a sophomore, so not many statistics are available, but the losing streak was broken when Steve Tobes returned an interception for a touchdown to win the game, to which Coach Kronoff said in a post-game interview, they went to the well once too often. Chris was productive on both sides of the ball during that 3-7 season and sharpened his skills and gained more experience for what was to come. As a team, we were gaining confidence. Junior year for Chris was a breakout, to say the least. Buoyed by depth in each grade, he rushed for an incredible 1,300+ yards and 17 touchdowns. His breakaway speed and toughness would overwhelm defenses, and while playing on the other side of the ball, no one wanted to catch a pass near him. This season ended in a 7-2-1 record, with Chris and all of us proud of our victory over undefeated Milford, but stopped in the end by a tough loss to Westboro on Thanksgiving, a game we'd like to forget, but in the end taught us all some life lessons, I suppose. By the way, all the while, Patty Tobin, later to be Patty DeBello, was part of the team too, as part of the cheerleading squad on the sideline supporting us in the school. Now it was the Futuristics' turn to be seniors and leaders. Chris was appointed captain for a good reason. He led by example and spoke with his legs, and a little bit of quiet trash talking at times too. He played unselfishly. He was just as willing to block as he was to carry the ball. He and the team had soaring confidence, but took 2 early season losses that stunned us, old foes Milford and Shepherd Hill. Chris took over from there, though, helped by a strong offensive line, and rushed for nearly 1,200 yards and 15 touchdowns, capping the regular season with an absolute thrashing of Westboro at home with a Super Bowl berth on the line. That game was played on a Saturday on a snow-covered field with only the lines visible after a Thanksgiving Eve snowstorm. But we didn't care. We were at peak form. Chris was quoting as saying, "The team put it all together and played flawlessly today." There's a picture from the post-game on-field celebration that we all have and cherish, as it symbolizes the turnaround that Chris was a large part of, achieved through hard work, commitment, strong coaching, pride, and in Chris's case, getting the most out of his ample skills. He finished his career with over 2,500 documented rushing yards, though I'm certain that the number is over 3,000 due to missing data, and over 35 touchdowns. The skinny freshman turned phenom was named a Telegram and Gazette All-Star and selected to play in the Shriners game. He went on to play in college at Wagner and was part of a national championship team his freshman year. Back to senior year. We couldn't close the deal in the Super Bowl against St. John's, and that really hurt, and we finished 8-2, but the real victory for us was playing with Chris and turning a laughingstock into a powerhouse, something that he was very proud of. Something that I know all of you involved out there are proud of. In an interview, Chris was asked what it was like to be part of this turnaround and if all the effort was worth it. Unscripted, Chris replied, "Every sweating moment of it." We all cherish our memories of you, Chris, as a person, a husband, dad, son, brother, uncle, and friend, and wish you were here to celebrate with us. So, I say, congratulations to you, Christopher J. DeBello, from the amazing class of 1986, on your entry into the Algonquin Regional High School Athletic Hall of Fame, where you belong. Patty will accept the award for Chris and has a few words.
Thank you. Thank you to Bobby Larson and the Algonquin Athletic Hall of Fame Committee for inducting Chris today. And congratulations to all the other athletes that were inducted. I wish that Chris was here to receive this. We all do. I know that Chris would be deeply honored for this recognition, and I can only imagine that he's smiling down upon us right now. And perhaps the infamous Frank Kronoff is next to him, celebrating. I know that Chris would want to thank a few people. He'd want to thank his parents, Trudy, who's here today, and his dad, who was always at the games, sometimes with a book, but Joe was always there. His family and his extended family. His coaches, assistant coaches, staff, his teammates, and everyone who supported him. And there are many here today. So thank you from Chris. Chris was a true believer in teamwork, and he would probably say something today along the lines of, the true measure of success lies in the collective achievements of the team. So true, right? But I can speak for many of us who watched Chris play on the field that he himself exhibited incredible skill, speed, grit, and determination. And that was all him, which makes him one of the best. So to Algonquin Hall of Fame, welcome number 32, Chris DeBello. Thank you.
Nice job, John. Good to meet you. Thank you for everything.
You helped with this.
One more.
Thank you. Well done. Amazing. That was great, thank you. Last but not least is the 1979 boys varsity basketball team. The 1979 boys basketball team was Midland Wachusett League champions. back-to-back Clark Tournament champions, qualified for the district and state tournament, and their team record over 4 years was 74-6. For the members of the team who are here in attendance, as we read your name, please come forward and receive your honorary plaque. Daniel McComb. Daryl Nelson. Yeah, let's get started. Yep. Captain Kevin Merchant. Kurt Carnavale. Daniel Derby. Manager Ted Callanan. Arthur Chip Martin. Kevin Skopetsky. Scott Fulmer. Paul P.J. Cunningham. Robert Bob Derby. Jim Gloshinsky. And the head coach, the late great Dr. Phil Phillip. Congratulations, team. I'd like to welcome Captain Kevin Merchant to say a few words on their behalf. Yep, no problem.
First, it wasn't part of it. You told me I appreciate your words earlier about the team. I mean, it's really true. I think that's why we're in as a team. Not everyone gets to start, and not everyone plays all the minutes. But as a group, as we practiced together and we made each other better together, we really were a true team, and it's an honor to be here together. First, let me start off by saying thank you to Mike Mascherino for the outstanding event. Thank you. The Algonquin Hall of Fame Committee, led by Rob Berger, for considering and electing this team into the Hall of Fame. We're eternally grateful. Superintendent Greg Martineau and Principal Sean Bevan for the use of the beautiful facility. And the Regional School Committee for guiding Algonquin to continue to be the great school it continues to be. We're riding off these new kids that are just doing so much. Next, we'd like to congratulate all the other inductees. It was great reading all your stories and hearing you speak. I'd like to ask Jim Diamantopoulos to come up and join us too. Join up here, Jim. Jim was our freshman and JV coach and lifelong mentor. He gave us pain and sweat, but then showed us how that pain and sweat and sacrifice led to success and accomplishment. Under Jim's tutelage, we were 33-1. So he still continues to be our mentor today. We'd also like to thank Dr. Phil Phillip. Coach, unfortunately, has passed away, but he too was a great mentor to us. He took the machine that Jim built and added strategy, toughness, and drive to never quit. Served us well in our undefeated senior season, and great support from. I'd also like to thank great support from so many classmates and other great athletes that were in our class, and former teammates Steve Skopetsky and Ron Renaro. We loved always having them in our corner, so thank you. We'd like to thank our moms and dads and our sisters and brothers that came to every game and supported our team. We'd also like to thank our wives and our children. And even though they were not at these events, they've had to endure the stories for years and years. And we appreciate the plaque to support our stories.
We're missing one. Bill Hume.
Oh.
Come on up. Bill Hume. Come on up. My sincere apologies. Come on up.
How do we forget Hume?
Got a plaque for you. Best player comes last.
Yeah, best is last. So again, we thank you for the thing to support our stories. One would think that this event today would be a beautiful bow on our career and we could stop with the stories, but sadly that's not going to happen. This team was 15-0 as freshmen, 18-1 as junior varsity, 19-4 as varsity junior team, and 23-1 as seniors with an undefeated regular season. As Mike said, we won the Clark University Large School Division 2 years in a row, Midland League, two-time Telegram and Gazette Class B titles for best teams in the region. And the team was led by a stellar group of seniors, Daryl Nelson. Nothing, raise your hand. Our Telegram Gazette All-Star center controlled the boards and scored almost at will and outquicked anyone who tried to guard him. Forward Kurt Cannavale was a rebounding machine and deadly shooter from the corners, while always having to guard much taller opponents. We were always undersized. Forward guard Bill Hume. He did not get cut. Yumi was our super hybrid. We need a rebound, he got it. He plays close down defense. Yumi made that happen. Bring the ball up court against the press defense, no problem. And ARSH Hall of Fame guard Dan Derby, point guard extraordinaire, ran the offense. Excellent scorer, great on the full court press defense, and does it all. We had really two six men. Paul Cunningham was our big six man for forwards, and Dan McComb filled in for forwards and guards. Danny was a great shooter from the outside, and his track skill allows him to outrun everyone like a deer. Our senior season proved we were a true team, as many contributed. Kevin Skopetsky made some key free throws at the end of the Millbury game to save the win. I can't tell you how many games we won that were so close that someone different stepped up every game to make a win possible. Nelly fouled out. PJ had a monster game against Clinton. When Nelly fouled out, Danny McComb hit some 3 big free throws against Marble to secure a win. They were our biggest rival back then. Danny Derby hit a game-ending jumper to beat Clinton in the Clark tournament. I mean, all game-ending things that could have changed that undefeated season. We were a true team, whether in practice or games, and it showed. We had great character, and the entire team hustled every day to make the team better. Guys like Jimmy Goshinsky, Bobby Derby, Chip Martin, my boy Scotty Fulmer. Great people, great multi-sport athletes, great students, pushed each other to be better at practice every day. And one final shout out to Ted Callahan, our manager. Ted did all the things that a manager needs to do to help us win. I just want to say thanks on behalf of all his teammates. We definitely appreciate you, Ted. This team grew up together as kids. We played all sports together. We were friends and classmates and teammates for so many years. And now we are forever bonded on the walls of Algonquin by this wonderful award. So thank you very much. And before we walk off, I think PJ wants to say a few words. Thank you.
You hear me okay? Yeah. Great. Thanks, Kevin, for allowing me to say a few words on behalf of the juniors on the team. They were Bob Derby, Kevin Skopetsky, Chip Martin, manager Ted Callahan, Jim Glashinsky, Scott Fulmer, and myself, Paul Cunningham. So like our senior counterparts, we all played basketball for 4 years, and we all played multiple sports. So Bob, Kevin, Scott, and Jim were 3-sport lettermen, Chip and I were two-sport guys, and Ted was not only our manager for 3 years, but also contributed to the local newspapers writing columns. So we were doing things other than just basketball. You know, make no mistake, the 78-79 team was led by a very talented set of seniors. The top 6 guys on the team were all seniors, and there must have been some of that missing data, because according to Merchant, we were 85. They were 85-6. I heard another number before, but 85-6, and clearly, well, we as juniors were happy to contribute, and we did, and Kevin was gracious enough to mention a few things that we were able to do, whether it was step in and do a spot start, or play tough defense, or challenge the guys in practice. We all recognized as the juniors that the seniors really drove this team. So in that spirit, I did ask my junior teammates to briefly comment, the key word being briefly, on, I think my printer is still printing actually, on 3 key things. What stood out about the seniors, what stood out about the season, and what stood out about the coaches that we had. And I promise I'll be brief. In terms of the seniors, Scott Fulmer called it a unified resolve. You know, and this is really thinking about this collective group of the 6 seniors. They really were a special group. And what really came through as the key themes from my teammates, the junior teammates, was tenacity, swagger, confidence, teamwork, role plays, success. For these guys, it was really all about winning. And not only did they have that chemistry as a team then, but they've maintained those relationships, you know, for decades later, which is really great to see. I think Mert was also probably too humble about how great these guys were. Beginning with Kevin Merchant, he was the star, okay? So he was a T&G All-Star. He was a big, strong guard. He could pass, he could shoot, he could dribble, he could do whatever you needed him to do on the basketball court. He was the captain, and he was the straw that stirred the drink. Darrell Nelson came back from Florida, all buffed up, you know, had been worked on weights, had the big hair, the low socks, and he could spin, dribble, drive, score inside and out, and he was a great player. Danny Derby and Billy Hume were the floor generals. So they actually did whatever the team needed, they would do, whether it was play defense, whether it was to score, whether it was to break the press. Those guys just rose up and did whatever we needed to do to win. Kurt Cannavale was all about the corner jump shot. The ball was going into Kurt in the corner, the ball was going up, and 9 times out of 10 it was going in. Great shooter. And then Dan McComb, our 6th man, could run forever, knock down free throws, really great player. In terms of the season, Kevin Skopetsky and Bobby Derby talked about the pride of being on this team. So we started out, you know, we ended up winning 23 games in a row, and as the year went on, it became kind of more and more special. So what stood out was Clinton, the Marlboro game, the Clark tournament, part of being something bigger than ourselves. We kind of recognized, as we all discussed this kind of over email, that we recognize this is something that isn't typical in life, to have that kind of success where you win 23 games in a row. And then lastly, the pain of losing to Clinton, a team we had beaten 3 times, and the kiss him goodbye by steam chant that the Clinton folks were chanting at the end there was certainly painful. Finally, as it relates to the coaches, for the juniors on the team, it began with Bob Boberg, and he was a humble coach, a patient coach, and we really had no idea that he had been a Hall of Fame player at St. John's of Shrewsbury, and he had had a very successful career at Boston College. So this was a great guy to kind of bring us into Algonquin basketball. And so we then had the experience of moving from the patient and humble Bob Boberg to the intensity of one Mr. James Diamantopoulos. And it was not exactly easy. Coach D pushed us and drove us mentally and physically to new heights. And we certainly all remember the killers to end practice, the anxiety before the practice, knowing we were going to have to do the killers before we practice ended, the ever-present loose ball drill, where my 6'1", 135-pound frame at the time always had to go against the future Marlboro Shamrocks linebacker Larry Dory, and I didn't really fare too well in that encounter. And then finally, of course, Dr. Phil Phillip, in his signature characteristics, which we all remember so well, the cigar smoke, being on the sideline, the intensity, the intensity of the language in the halftime, complex defenses, the canvas Chuck Taylor sneakers, the sweatpants, the waist-length championship jacket. You know, no doubt Coach Phillip would find a way to win, and given his intelligence and his intensity, no doubt that's why he's in the Mass Hall of Fame, as is Jim Diamantopoulos. So with that, we'd like to thank all of you for being inducted here into the Hall of Fame today. Thank you.
Excuse me for a minute. If you haven't met me yet, my name is Jim Diamantopoulos, and I've been known to be a little outspoken. I usually speak the truth, which makes people feel uncomfortable. Being a health educator here, I want you to know that what's going on in front of you, and there's some great inductees, and congratulations. And, you know, I'm so glad Tommy got in before he really lost his mind, because, you know, he was one of the great guys that comes through. Actually, he coached me when I first came to town in 1974 in softball, and we were terrible. But I will just say a couple things here on these guys, because this is an opportunity I've been waiting over 40 years for. And if I piss off somebody here, join the club of Algonquin past principals, administrators, school committee members, and even current principals. But anyways, please know, this was a different era. Some of you older people here know what I'm talking about. It was a time when they got a young whippersnapper from Springfield College coming in to coach in 1974, and I take these kids and I'm teaching health class, and I offer them extra credit to come out and try out. And if they make the team, they get another 10 points extra credit. You know? I don't think they do anything with MCAS on that nowadays. And these guys, we had 75 to 80 kids out of a class of a couple hundred trying out for basketball, promoting sports, and student athletes. And I actually killed these guys. I know I checked before I got here with Morgan & Morgan. The statute of limitations protects me. I was talking to one of our former students, a judge here. He goes, I'm not sure yet. Let me check the things that are going on. But anyways, the biggest thing that these guys had going for them was not me, Coach Phillip, Coach Boberg, the school. It was their families. Those families, their parents let us coach them. They weren't looking for any opportunity to make a greasy spot so that their kid could slide into something. They all earned it. They were tough. I mean, I remember a merchant coming down in the back gym. Phil would pull out a chair, watch my practices while I, just annihilated these kids. And would never make it today. And not that I was always right, but the intent was there, and they knew I loved them. And they loved me back more than I could give them. They know when they came over our house, my wife started the tradition of lasagna and meatball dinners for these guys, the camaraderie. We painted the gym with 30 gallons of paint in the mid-78, 77? Yeah. 78. I go to Dick Tybert. I go, hey, Dick, we're going to paint the gym. He goes, what? He was the business manager. He goes, I never had anyone do that before. Well, you do now. And 30 gallons of paint. We were in here Columbus Day weekend, painted it. The next weekend after that, the weekend after that, until we got it done. And of course, Kevin Merchant was not a very good painter. We had Hulme and those guys. It looked like, you'd been inebriated or something. No, we got through that. We did it. It was a time that I cherish. I cherish these guys. I've been coaching over 40 years. I ran a Central Mass basketball school for 37 years. I've been an educator. I'm still subbing at Assabet, telling bad jokes with Coach Wallace. And I love all the people here that I see. Mike Foley and his wife Joan, and Tommy Bertonazzi, and all the other great people. But let me tell you something. This was an era that we need to get back in education. A time where you know that people do care about your kids. You don't walk into a classroom and have do it now and essential questions and an agenda that's like a prescription teaching. It's the relationship you make in education. That's what they have here today, and we're missing the boat. Until the State Department of Education start letting local school districts run their schools the way they see fit. When they started MCAS back in '93, I knew it was beginning to end. When the principal of me said to me here as a department head, and I pissed him off, and I said, yeah, well, we're going to take you out of your health class. And, oh, that's great. I said, it's good. So my first semester sophomores got a whole curriculum, everything I'm teaching them about being a better person and lifestyle. And the second semester, oh, we're just going to cut out alcohol poisoning. Fentanyl wasn't on the scene then, but that's another one that we could talk about today. And we're going to talk about pregnancy, suicide, depression, everything that's gone off through the roof. Our poor kids today don't know how hard it is to be a kid. These guys here are the best. And I think you all deserve another round of applause. And I'm not going to let them go because today in education is an exit question from the classroom. We'll start over here, Hume, since you were the last one up. Over here. Speak into the mic clearly, please.
I didn't choose to be the last one.
What did you find most productive in building camaraderie on your team? The practice, the games, the pasta parties, what was it? In 30 seconds.
It was the practices. I mean, we played basketball day and night. It wasn't even like here. It was all the time. So that's how we grew together.
What did Coach Phillip inspire you with most? Leave the language out of it.
Well, he just enforced the fact that we never thought we could lose.
Thank you.
And that was it.
Thank you, Billy. All right, Derp.
Yo, I didn't know there was a quiz.
Yeah. Who should have gotten more playing time and why?
Me.
You started.
Yeah, that's right. I did.
Yeah.
Couldn't get much more playing time.
What's your favorite memory? Which game?
The clock was a nice one, but probably our last home victory, Doherty, when Mert hit a half-court shot to finish off a great season.
Thank you, Derb.
Thanks.
Kurt.
Uh-oh.
One of my favorite guys.
We're witnessing what 40-plus years of drinking a lot of alcohol has done to some people here.
True. Did you help paint the gym?
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Who taught you the corner shot and how to bury it in a rotation offense?
That's a good question. I probably would say my brother.
That's nice. Okay, next. Let's go.
It wasn't easy being coached by Jim.
Can you pick one star that helped you become who you were, a teammate?
No.
No.
They were all great.
Right.
I mean, it's the camaraderie. We all played. When practice was over, we went back to Derb's house and played basketball there and hang out there.
Never had to worry about these guys. Thank you, Murph.
All right, thank you. That was easy.
Well, I know how you did in health class.
Are you going to make me do? Are you going to make me do push-ups like you did?
Yeah, no, freshman year.
Yeah,
he missed practice. He told me he was home making cookies. And I go, start running. We'll talk about cookies later.
I could get even with you now.
Yes, right.
But I won't.
Okay, let me ask you what was your favorite health lesson?
My health lesson?
Yeah, that's right. That's what I'm saying. You slept every time in class. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, that's my answer.
Come on. Come on, let's go. What bus rides did you like the best?
Bus rides?
Yeah. What schools?
Short ones.
You went to what school?
Westboro.
Okay, why?
Because it was short.
Okay. Thank you, man. Next up.
You're up,
Ted, did you also help out with the varsity baseball team?
I think I did.
Yeah. Who was the coach?
Can't remember, actually.
It was probably Jack Wallace.
It probably was Jack Wallace.
See, that's nice. I know you're good with numbers.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, I understand you're very successful today. What would be your best memory of these guys?
Remember going to all the practices. One of the biggest memories is being crammed into Carnivale's Camaro at the end of practice every night.
What's your worst memory of me? Thank you. See you later.
Still owing you 30 killers.
Okay. Scope, come on in. Yeah. How would you describe Coach Phillip?
Intense, someone who gave everybody an opportunity.
Awesome, yeah. What did you like least about him?
This having to breathe the cigar smoke.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I remember your dad being a fabulous guy. One of our players was leaving to go to another college, another prep school, and your dad had a great quote saying, well, geez, why doesn't he just go to the NBA? You know what I mean? Maybe that'd be something for young people today to learn that, you know, your high school camaraderie, your high school goals, your high school togetherness is something that lasts even 40 years plus. Thank you, Scope.
All right.
Next up, Scott. What's your favorite memory?
Oh, man.
Just one.
Just one? It's the half-court shot that Mert made. Yeah, it's unforgettable.
Yeah.
But it was Mert as a player, I guess. This team was just such an inspiration. I know it's true to this day. It's just a great feeling. I know they all stay together, but it's really an honor to be here. And I just remember Mert before, I think it was a Westboro game, where he was just getting ready to play, and how intense he was. Focused on the ball in his hands, it was like nothing else mattered. And he's just behind that door getting ready to go out and play, and then burst out with all that energy, and of course we won.
Yeah.
So, but that was just a beautiful, unforgettable thing.
Thank you, Scott.
All right.
Hey, God bless. Next up. Did you help paint the gym?
Hell no.
No, I didn't think so. I was checking the attendance that day, and you weren't on it.
No, I wasn't, sir.
What's the greatest accomplishment of this team in your eyes?
Oh, my God. The fact that we've all stayed together for 44 years and still can laugh and have a good time and play some golf yesterday and tell some stories like they were 44 years ago.
Thank you, dear.
Yeah, man.
Thank you.
Oh, I just also want to say thank you, Jimmy. Jimmy was my first coach in basketball my freshman year. He pulled me up, and he was freshman, you know, in the JV. I remember coming out afterwards, and all these freshman guys are coming out from Bob Boberg, and they're laughing, skipping, jumping. I'm sitting there puking in the back. Thank you, Jimmy.
That's why he's still here today. Jimmy. What do you remember most about this team?
Kevin Merchant. He was, to me, he was the glue of the team.
Yeah.
You know, he's very humble up here, but he was it. He made the team what it was.
That's a good point. I remember him playing defense, being behind the ball, the guys on the fast break going up court several times in our gym. And he comes up behind him to flip the ball away before we used to practice those things. He was doing that stuff. Of course, he was a little lighter back then. And, you know, he lost sight of his health teacher. And I'd also say he did not do that well in the nutrition unit. Okay, but we love him. Thank you, Jeff.
You're welcome.
All right, Paul?
You going to ask me the health question?
No, I'm going to ask you.
I had a good answer for that one.
Do you remember what your mother said to me one time?
I don't.
Well, she said, "Thank you for making my son tougher." And that
Okay.
was a compliment that I remember all these years later, because she could have came up and ripped me a new one, and she didn't. And that's what I was saying about earlier. When you pass your son or daughter onto a coach or teacher and you let them know that you want to learn life lessons, it's a wonderful thing. And your parents were great, and you were too. You were a joy to coach. And these guys, let's hear it one more time for them. He was 79. Thanks, Jimmy. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, picture. Jim.
Picture, I don't know if we can, I don't know how we can, we have to do,
I'm not going to get in.
Come on down.
I don't think get down.
They can't bend.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, there you go. They're going to get all of us in there.
You gotta get 2 rows. You gotta get 2 rows.
Put you right in the middle.
Now you can get everybody.
Have a seat, Jim.
Slide it down, Gerald. Turn sideways.
I am.
Gerald. Hey, Sean, you got it. You turn this way. There you go. You might look like you're a basketball player. Go down a little more. He's still telling you. Gerald, down. Not Florida, just down there. Down by the ramp.
She's looking at the commotion. Right.
Wait a minute, 1 minute, 1 minute. One more picture, then I got a question for you guys. One question. All of you.
Yeah, use this mic. You gotta put these back together. All right, say we have one more thing.
Okay, we got one more thing, so please stay with us. But I got a question for the men here. In your team picture, what did the finger down mean in the team photo in the yearbook?
Just number one.
Just number one, okay. We were all very inquisitive. Thank you.
All right, say we got one more.
One more thing before you go. Something very important.
Hold on, yep.
One more thing. Thank you, guys.
Say we gotta take your group photo.
What's that?
Say at the end.
Yeah, at the end, all the recipients need to come up. We're going to do one large group photo of all the recipients. So I've been involved in supporting athletics here at Algonquin for many years through.
Hold on 1 second.
I've been involved in boosters as the boosters president for several years, Hall of Fame committee for many years. And I just want to let everybody know that I've been bestowed a great honor today that nobody knows about, but it's a great honor, and I just can't get over that I'm doing it. In 1959, the tomahawk became the mascot, the symbol, and the spirit of Algonquin Regional High School, and for all who played under it. Today, we graciously retire our beloved tomahawk and give thanks to all our student athletes, coaches, and staff who wore it with pride through all challenges and spirited competitions. For all days forward, we will never forget all who have participated wore the tomahawk with pride. The tomahawk mascot will now rest quietly in the hallowed halls and on the fields and courts of Algonquin Regional High School, passing on the spirit of competition and the desire for victory to all that are now Algonquin Titans. Thank you, everyone. A wonderful day. We thank you for being here. All the recipients need to come up for a photo. Thank you again.
This is you for the photo. We're gonna need more chairs.